I'm Eric Hayden with the National Weather Service in Newport, Morehead City, North Carolina. This is part 4 of 7 for our basic spring SKYWARN 2018. Now we're kind of getting into the crux of severe weather. We're going to start to talk about severe weather reporting, and we're going to talk about pulse thunderstorms with this presentation. Love this graphic. You're going to see it through the rest of this course. We're going to start on the far left side for types of thunderstorms. We're going to start with a pulse storm or a single cell storm. On the graphic it says weak updraft. All that means is rising air. If the air rising is not very strong, it's considered a weak updraft. The other term I want to talk to you about is shear, and that's any type of twist or rotation in the environment. You can get it a couple different ways. If you have winds that change direction with height, that causes a twist or a shear. The other way you can get it is speed shear, and we'll show you that here in a graphic coming up. If you have lower winds or lighter winds at the surface and they get stronger as they go up, that will induce a rolling or shear in the environment. All you need to remember with this, weak updraft and more importantly weak shear, and that will lead to a single cell or pulse storm. I love to back things up with pictures. This is a beautiful storm, towering. Remember back to the Coke bottle example, bubbly clouds, so we can see the instability in the atmosphere. But notice it's very in the vertical, straight up and down. There's no tilt to the storm, and that's because we have weak shear in the environment. That's important. Since the storm is up and down and not tilted, that reduces the storm's chance of lasting a long time and therefore lowers its likelihood for severe weather. This is another great graphic showing the depiction of a pulse storm that we talk about. And the reason why I like this graphic is it shows a radar depiction. I'm a grower of roses. I love to garden. These are the types of storms that you haven't had rain for a couple days. There's a storm to your west on radar, and you just cannot wait to get this rain. As it's moving towards you, all of a sudden it pops, it dissipates, it falls apart, and then down the road a new one pops up. That lasts 15 or 20 minutes, then it falls apart. That's your single cell or pulse storm. With the radar depiction on the bottom, between 5 and 10 minutes, all of a sudden it goes from no storm to storm. And the red and yellow indicates a wind, hail, and some heavy rainfall. But between 10 and 20 minutes, that storm pulses up. Since it's in the vertical, it completely falls apart and dissipates. And between 15 and 20 minutes, whatever you're going to get, you're going to get. And that could be wind, hail, isolated tornado, but again, a lower threshold for that. So typically with these storms, we get borderline severe hail, borderline wind, because they just don't have the time to get super strong and produce the really big stuff. One thing you can get from these is hail. We want you to report any size hail. And you're going to notice a theme through the rest of the course. We're going to talk about the threat you can get, how to report it, and that type of thing slide by slide. So with hail, the actual size is recommended. If you're not walking around with a ruler, you can use some sort of reference, size of a pea, size of a tennis ball, quarter, something like that. If you do have a ruler, it would be best to measure the hail once the storm has passed, measure the width. So in the lower right, in this example, it's a 5-inch hailstone. We mentioned reference. If you don't have a ruler, to use a sort of reference size. Don't use marbles because they vary in size. Is it the gray one, the green one, the red one? Who knows, because it's varying in size. So do not use marbles to report hail size. And the lower left is a good example of sending us a picture. Hey, I've got hail the size of quarters. I want to send you a picture, and that really gives us a nice reference for how large that hail is. So in summary, please report any size hail. It goes back to the very beginning when we're trying to gauge how bad a storm is. Even you might say, oh, I've got pea-size hail. Why do they need to know about this? You could be in the wimpiest, weakest part of the storm, and then at the other end, we can surmise that it's much larger and perhaps severe at that end of the neighborhood. So again, you help us gauge what's going on with the radar with regards to hail size. Make sure you get the size of the largest stone. So an example would be we're getting nickel-sized hail, but a couple are as large as a quarter. And don't use marbles to report size. If you do, certainly don't tell them that you took training from Eric at Morehead City. Do not use marbles. One of the most important parts of the class is occurring right now. how do I make our report? Our 800 number is our most preferred way to make that report. The reason for it, it rings directly to our office. We're anticipating a weather spotter report. We can ask you questions if we need clarification. We're going to talk about email and Facebook and Twitter, and all of that is great, and our staff checks it frequently, but sometimes that's the third or fourth or fifth thing we're doing at the same time. We always answer our phone. So if it's something like a tornado, something like hail, something really, really, really important, I know we have a lot of different ways to report, but our preference is the 800 number, and that's because we get it right away and we can ask questions for clarification. You'll also notice a theme over and over again, how to report. When you call that number, we like for you to say who you are, so I'm a trained SKYWARN spotter, what you saw, where you saw it, and when. So again, the 800 number is preferred. You might be writing it down at home now, but what I'd like you to do is get out your smartphone, your mobile device, program National Weather Service Morehead City, put the 800 number in there. It's only for reports, not for forecasting, and that is our preferred way. If you're outside our area, this number is not going to work for you. Again, use my contact information to get a course certificate, and then you'll be able to get your 800 number for the local office that serves you. Another way to make a report is an email. Again, 800 numbers preferred. The other ways I'm going to be talking about, such as email and Facebook and Twitter, are good supplements. And what I mean by that, use our email to send us pictures or videos, and it would be weather.obs, it's wxobs.mhx@noaa.gov. So an example could be you call us with a hail report and, hey, I really want to send you a picture of this. It's covering the yard, or I've got video of a funnel cloud. Where can I text you that picture or video? Send it to our email address. Same procedure. Who you are, you're a trained spotter, what you saw, where you saw it, and when. Appreciate you joining us for this online SKYWARN training. Again, still a couple more parts to take. You're almost home. Part 7 of our series is coming up, and once you finish all 7 parts, shoot me an email for your certificate.